The following is a retelling of the events of the real-world heists that occurred on February 28th and then on September 13th, both in 1997, both in Los Angeles, California. Welcome to Heist Tales.
Benevolent Bank, a neoclassical beauty, but business calls. We're going to need some codes, so get to their servers. You know how this goes. Eyes peeled for security. Cities need to be controlled, and keycards are always useful.
I figured this week I'd talk about something a little more relevant to the gameplay you're watching, so I came up with this. If you guys have any feedback on these videos, please don't hesitate to drop a comment. It's the only way I can improve. So, let's set the Wayback Machine for February 28th, 1997. The Bank of America branch located on Laurel Canyon Boulevard in North Hollywood. That's the one in Los Angeles, not the one in Sweden.
The server room. Get me hooked up, guys.
Okay, let's get rich.
Patch me in. I can do some mischief from here. Firewalls are tripped. We're going to need a local port. One of the staff terminals. Check them out.
Two heisters with a proven track record, Larry Eugene Phillips and Decebal Stefan Emilian Matasoranu, known to law enforcement at the time as the High Incident Bandits, were sitting in a Chevy Celebrity outside the bank. In the car, they had two Norinco 56S rifles, which is the Chinese knockoff of the AK-47. They had one Norinco 56S1, all three converted to fully automatic, all with large 75-round mags. They had a Heckler & Koch Model 91 semi-automatic rifle. They had a Bushmaster XM15 Dissipator, which is an AR-15 variant, also converted to fully automatic, sporting a 100-round drum magazine. They had a Beretta 92 FS 9mm handgun. They had over 1,000 rounds of ammunition, carried in a tactical harness. They had knives, sharp sticks.
One of the staff terminals is holding a code. Find it and start hacking. Connecting now. Better pray this is the right one.
Phillips was sporting a homemade bulletproof suit of armor, made up of a bulletproof vest, with spare vests having been created into protection for his thighs, shins, and forearms, as well as a groin guard. Matasoranu wore a bulletproof vest as well, but had a metal plate in it to protect vital organs.
That's the code. Great. Now get it working on that time lock.
Previously, these two had robbed an armored car in Colorado, another armored car in Winnetka in the San Fernando Valley, and another two branches of the Bank of America, also in the San Fernando Valley area. So far, they had gotten about $1.5 million out of their heists.
Watch out, there's a guard.
They had both sewn wristwatches into a glove to keep track of the time, having estimated police response to be about 8 minutes, based on experience and observation.
Now we wait for the timeline to run down. Did I ever tell you about my grandpa and his heisting days?
At about 9:15 in the morning, the boys strolled into the Bank of America on the corner of Laurel Canyon Boulevard and Archwood Street. They were immediately spotted by a passing police cruiser who radioed the robbery in progress before anyone had even fired a single shot. They grabbed the customer leaving an ATM near the entrance and threw them to the floor, after which Philip shouted, "This is a fucking hold-up," at which point they then both fired their guns in the air like a couple of morons. Inside the bank were approximately 30 civilians, bank staff and customers. One of the security guards inside radioed his partner who was outside in the parking lot, but the call went unheeded. Phillips proceeded to shoot open the secure door to the back area. It was designed to be bulletproof, but only towards smaller caliber rounds, not the illegal 7.62mm high-powered stuff the High Incident Bandits were rocking.
Gang, elevators are on the move. Expect company.
Now having access to the teller's area and the bank's vault, the heisters proceeded to force the assistant manager to open it. The assistant manager started filling their bag, but the vault contained a lot less than the robbers had expected. Due to a change in the delivery schedule, they found less than half of their expected take.
Someone answer the phone. Good afternoon. You're through to the Benevolent. This is Martin.
Jen over at Gensec here. So, we detected an unscheduled activation of the time lock there. Everything okay?
Yeah, there was a mix-up with a major account holder. Arrived a day early. Time zones, you know.
I see. Sure, that happens. Okay, just try to call us beforehand next time.
Roger that. You guys are doing a great job. Bye. Sucker fell for it.
This enraged Phillips to the point he emptied the mag into the vault, destroying a large portion of cash. They attempted to break open the ATM, but again, due to a change of policies, no one at the bank could access the money directly. Before leaving, the heisters put the staff and customers in the vault and locked it. In total, the take was $303,305 and 3 die packs, which would eventually ruin all of the money. Not exactly the most successful heist, but things were about to take a turn for the worse. Much worse.
It's a guard.
Outside, the first responders had called in even more backup and taken up a defensive position and trained their service weapons at the front of the bank from the cover of their police cars. The cops had surrounded the bank entirely, including air cover from a helicopter. Less than 10 minutes had passed since Phillips and Mara Serrano had arrived.
That's the time lock done. Try and keep the sneak going. Now, the vault has a 3-step clearance control. The first I've already taken care of. Just head there and use the fingerprint scanner.
It's okay, Control. I thought I heard some strange noises, but it was just my stomach.
When Phillips stepped outside, he saw the police and immediately opened fire. He maintained fire for several minutes. Minutes. Minutes is a big word to use in a firefight. He wounded 7 police officers and 3 civilians with his barrage. He also fired off rounds towards the helicopter, forcing the pilot to retreat. Phillips then walked back inside the bank. Moments later, Phillips reappeared outside through the northern exit, while Mara Serrano came out through the southernmost doors. They then began firing consistently into the police vehicles, laying down heavy suppressing fire. The police on scene were armed with the standard-issue Department Beretta 92F and 92FS 9mm handgun variants, Smith & Wesson 38 caliber revolvers, and one 12-gauge Ithaca 37 shotgun. Because back in 97, that's the kind of armament the police force had. The high-incident bandits would forever change that. Due to the bulletproof vests worn by the robbers, the cop weaponry didn't do much but give them bruises and knock the wind out of them. Short-range firearms versus rifles in a protracted gunfight is subpar to say the least. And considering the rate of fire the robbers were laying down, the police were well and truly outgunned. In fact, after some 15 minutes of being shot at, the police decided to raid a nearby gun store to acquire some heavier firepower of their own. 15 minutes is a very, very long time when someone is firing fully automatic, high-powered rifles in your direction. It is also tremendously difficult to get a bead on someone's head with a handgun while they are spraying big boy bullets at you. The LAPD called in their Special Weapons and Tactics team. They had been doing physical exercise training when the call came in, and were dressed in their shorts and running shoes beneath their tactical vests. They brought AR-15 rifles, which were better weapons, but still did little more than dent the homemade body armor the robbers were wearing. More on that later. Moving around to the parking lot, the robbers were maneuvering towards the getaway car. Mara Serrano was shot and hit 3 times, once in the arm and twice below the protection of his vest. He got in behind the wheel as Phillips retrieved the HK-91 from the trunk and continued to put down covering fire. The car started moving, Phillips still walking alongside it, firing at the police. The HK-91 was hit and put out of commission, so Phillips dropped it and picked up the knockoff AK and kept pouring lead. Matasuranu kept driving, and Phillips tried retreating down Archwood Street. He took cover behind a parked semi-truck and kept firing until his Kalashnikov knockoff jammed. He was unable to clear it and pulled out his Beretta handgun and kept firing towards the police until a random bullet struck his hand, which made him lose the gun.
I've been having dreams, my friend. Really bad dreams. I like to talk about it. You want to talk?
Picking the gun back up, he flipped the cops the bird, putting the 9mm handgun beneath his chin, and got his first and only kill. The police, taking no chances, kept firing at his body. When they finally moved in, they handcuffed his corpse, just to make sure. This might sound funny in retrospect, but when someone has been firing a literal hail of bullets your way for the better part of an hour, and you and your colleagues don't even dent them when you're firing back, you would be hesitant to take chances too.
It's okay, Control. Yeah, just changing the batteries. This radio's a piece of shit, you know? Place the body bag case here.
Meanwhile, Matasurano's getaway car was disabled after the police shot out the windshield and 2 of the tires. He attempted to carjack a passerby. The driver fled on foot, but not before engaging a kill switch, rendering the vehicle inoperable. Matasurano didn't know this, so he loaded the new car as quickly as he could with his loot and his arsenal, and then found the car to be about as useful as their entire heist plan. Then, an LAPD patrol car filled with SWAT officers rocked up and engaged Matasurano in a firefight at close range, lasting over 2 minutes and consisting of almost uninterrupted gunfire at one another. One of the SWAT officers double-tapped Matasurano in the chest with an AR-15, but due to the metal plate in his bulletproof vest, it merely knocked the wind out of him. The officer then laid down on the ground and fired at Matasurano's unprotected legs and feet beneath the cars, ending the now 44-minute-long firefight in the middle of Los Angeles. Matasurano bled out before paramedics could get to the scene, as police believed there to be a third gunman. He had been shot 29 times in the legs, whereof 2 were fatal wounds. At this point, over 300 law enforcement personnel had responded, and nearly 2,000 rounds of ammunition had been expended in the city streets. No less than 18 LAPD officers were awarded the Medal of Valor for their actions. After the incident, police nationwide were issued heavier weaponry, so as not to ever be underpowered in a prolonged firefight ever again.
I think there was a piece of tinfoil on the antenna. It's fixed now.
They're the keys for the doors inside the vault. Good find.
So, from one heist to another, from loud to stealth, from going in strong to going in on the prowl, from slim pickings and a massive firefight with nothing to show for it, not even life in prison, or life at all for that matter, to the largest heist in American history so far in terms of ill-gotten gains. Just past midnight on September 13, 1997, the Dunbar Armored Facility, an armored car depot located on Mateo Street in downtown LA, was hit. The heist was planned and executed by Alan Pace, an inside man who worked at Dunbar Armored as their regional safety inspector. He knew the timetables. He knew the routines. He knew the operation inside and out. He had even timed the security cameras to navigate the facility undetected. He also knew that on Friday nights, the vault was left open because security guards were moving large quantities of cash.
Don't ask me where I got that thumb. Now, verify identification for the security consoles. Shouldn't be a problem. One down, one One to go. Almost there. Final protocol. The manager's code. Check his computer.
Pace recruited some childhood buddies for the job: Eric Boyd, Terry Brown, Eugene Hill, Thomas Lee Johnson, and Freddie McCrary. Pace arranged for a house party to establish their alibi. He also provided the group with ski masks, radio headsets, some handguns, and a shotgun to subdue the few employees working at night, as well as detailed floor plans complete with camera locations. They hired a U-Haul truck, which they parked near the facility.
Great, we're connected. Got the code. Get back to the vault.
Pace had been fired the day before, but he still had the keys to the facility. The group snuck in on the cover of darkness and waited in the staff cafeteria to jack in the box the guards when they went on their lunch break, which happened approximately at midnight. 2 guards were rushed and duct-taped, and no shots were fired. Pace knew which bags would contain the high denominations, where the non-sequential bills were, and he knew where the recording devices for the security cameras were located.
It worked. Great job, everyone.
It took the heist crew 30 minutes to load $18.9 million dues into the waiting U-Haul. They went and stored the money and gear and returned to the house party to continue their alibi. Because Pace had been fired so recently, he was a prime suspect, but the entire crew stayed low and did nothing, evading capture. They got away scot-free with almost $19 million, the largest heist take in the history of the United States.
I got the van in the garage, but you need to go through the elevator shaft.
The only thing left behind on the scene was a plastic lens for a taillight, which police matched to a standard U-Haul truck, making it impossible to trace.
Now climb down and get the bags to the van. Watch your step.
The crew enlisted the help of an attorney as well as his office manager, paying them $1 million apiece to help launder the money. For the next 2 years, they laundered money through real estate and front businesses, and the attorney even did their W-2s to maintain the image of legitimacy. 2 years after the robbery, one of the crew members, Eugene Hill, gave a stack of cash bound with the original branded currency straps to a friend who worked real estate. The friend called the police. The police noted Hill had rented a U-Haul truck on the day of the robbery. Hill was arrested and confessed and named all his heist members. The crew all went to jail. Pace got 24 years, Boyd 17 years due to priors and use of a gun while being a registered felon. The remaining 4, Brown, Hill, Johnson and McCrary, got between 8 and 10 years each. The lawyer was disbarred, and him and his office manager got 2.5 years in the clink each, indicted on 71 counts of money laundering. Less than half the money was ever recovered, with some $13 million still unaccounted for.
This is what happens when you work with the best.
It took 200 years, but the benevolent bag has finally been robbed. Outstanding work.
You have delivered as promised.
If you find people enjoy this kind of content, please let me know. You all know how YouTube works by now. Until next time, I'm Pharl, and I just knocked over the benevolent on my own.